Today, we're going to talk about something that can feel, well, a little intimidating for a lot of people, but it's really all about empowerment. We're talking about HIV counseling and testing. We're going to walk through every single step, piece by piece, to make it clear, understandable, and honestly, a lot less scary. So let's dive in. I want to start with this quote. It's from a man named Sizway, and it's chilling. It perfectly captures the kind of fear and public shame that can happen when this process goes wrong. His experience really hits home why a proper, confidential, and empathetic approach isn't just a nice-to-have procedure, it's a basic human right. So we're going to explore the framework that's built to protect your dignity and privacy to make sure a health check never, ever turns into a public spectacle.
All right, so here's our roadmap for this journey. First, we'll cover your fundamental rights. We'll call them the 5 C's. Then we'll look at the 2 main ways people find themselves getting tested. We'll dive deep into that crucial pre-test conversation, talk about how results are actually shared, and finally, explore the all-important question, what happens next?
Okay, first things first, let's talk about the absolute bedrock of this entire process, your rights. These are what we call the 5 C's, and they are the non-negotiable pillars that protect every single person who gets tested. So just look at how these 5 C's create a complete circle of support. And let's be clear, these are not just helpful suggestions. They are mandatory standards for any health worker. You get counseling before the test and after the test. Your consent is everything. You are always, always in the driver's seat. Your confidentiality is locked down. The results have to be correct. And, so importantly, it doesn't just stop there. The process guarantees a connection to care, making sure that no one is ever left to figure things out alone. So, how does someone even start down this road? Well, it usually begins on one of 2 main pathways. On one side, you have what's called client-initiated testing, or CIT. That's pretty straightforward. It's when you decide for your own reasons to go get a test. On the other side, you've got provider-initiated, or PICT. This is where a doctor or nurse might recommend a test as part of routine medical care, like at a prenatal appointment or a TME clinic. But here's the most important part, the real key. Even when a provider suggests it, your right to say no, your right to consent is absolutely protected. You are always in control. Okay, this brings us to what might be the most vital part of the whole thing, the pre-test counseling session. And please don't think of this as an interrogation. It's not. It's a supportive, private conversation that's designed to prepare you to make a decision that you feel truly good about. You know, a counselor will often start with a simple question, why now? And they're not trying to be nosy. They're trying to understand what's on your mind, what your concerns are, and what you already know about HIV. It's all about meeting you exactly where you are, so the conversation can be genuinely helpful for you. This conversation really is meant to cover all the bases. They'll talk about personal risk, so the advice is actually relevant to your life. They'll help clear up any myths or misinformation you might have heard. They'll walk you through exactly how the test works, so there are no surprises. And most importantly, they'll explore what the different results could mean for you, the good and the bad, so you feel as prepared as possible for any outcome. This is such a big question, right? It sounds heavy. But what the counselor is really doing here is helping you think through the what-ifs before you're in the middle of it. It's a way to gently map out your support system, your friends, your family, your partner, and to check in with your own coping strategies before you even get a result. It's like building a safety net in advance. And only after all of this discussion, when you feel you have all the information you need and you feel ready, that's when the test is actually performed. This is what we mean when we say informed consent. You're not just ticking a box, you're making a choice with a full, clear understanding of what it all means. Now we move to that moment when the result is ready. This part of the process is built from the ground up to provide clarity and support no matter what the test says. Let's start with what a trained counselor should never, ever say. A phrase like this is so damaging because it immediately slaps a judgment on the result. Bad news. And it suggests that there's no hope, and that is the exact opposite of the truth. With modern medicine, an HIV diagnosis is a manageable health condition, and the counselor's job is to reflect that reality and offer hope. So instead, the right approach is centered entirely on support. The result is shared calmly, in simple language, and then the counselor just holds the space. They let you react however you need to, with silence, with tears, with a million questions. You get to lead the conversation. And from there, the focus gently shifts to making a concrete, manageable plan for what comes next. And hey, even if the result is negative, the counseling session is still so important. Of course, there's that initial feeling of relief.
But this is also a huge opportunity to learn. The counselor will explain the window period and talk about whether a retest might be a good idea. It's the perfect time to reinforce safer practices and to debunk that dangerous myth that a negative test means you're somehow immune.
Because here's the thing, finding out your status isn't the end of the journey. In many ways, it's actually the beginning of a new one. And the follow-up process is all about empowerment and long-term support.
For someone who tests positive, the counselor will help create a really solid, concrete plan for just the next 24 hours. This helps take a huge, overwhelming moment and break it down into small, actionable steps. It answers practical questions like, where are you going when you leave here? And who will be with you tonight? It's a simple but powerful way to make sure you're safe and supported right from the start.
And looking beyond that first day, the bigger goal is to plug you into a whole network of care. This is way more than just a single doctor's visit. It's a whole system of support. We're talking wellness programs, getting ready for treatment, regular health screenings, and maybe, most importantly, connecting with support groups of other people who actually get what you're going through.
A huge part of that long-term journey is this idea of shared confidentiality. Now, this isn't about being pressured to tell anyone your business. Absolutely not. This is about you and only you making the empowered choice to share your status with trusted people in your life who can support you. It's about building your team on your terms.
And really, that's what this all comes down to. At the end of the day, knowledge is power. Knowing your status, whether it's positive or negative, is the absolute first step toward taking control of your health and taking control of your future. It gives you the power to make the best decisions for yourself and for the people you care about. So that leaves us with one last thought to chew on. If knowing our status is so incredibly empowering, what is our role? As friends, as family, as a community, in breaking down the stigma and fear that still stops so many people from seeking that knowledge? How do we work together to build a world where everyone feels safe enough to take that first brave step?